Welcome back from the break. I'm Fiona Mbowa here at Church of Uganda Family TV with Ring Diaries. And before the break, we're with Mrs. Jennifer Malay telling us about what is mental health? How do you realize there's an issue? How do you realize you need help? But also to understand where we are as a couple and where do we want to be.
Yeah.
So to continue this conversation, Jennifer, how do we think we've talked about how I realize I have a problem.
Yeah.
What are those indicators to know that I actually have something that needs help?
That needs help. One of the things is in a marriage would be the connection. You understand? Because when we start with a spark and everything is
All
glossy, all nice. But because life still doesn't happen in linear fashion, as the different challenges are coming in, how are we adjusting? You know, you could find that somebody's going through a different crisis. There are different crises for different age groups, particularly between ages 25 and 30. You know,
physical age or marriage
age, yeah. Physical age of 25 to 40, it's all about intimacy versus isolation. Many people are looking, that's when we get married, we are into getting intimate. But as we also get into that age, there can be a crisis, which we call the quarter life crisis. You know, you're looking at your career, you're looking at the marriage, you're looking at now children are setting in, and you're like, how am I going to manage all these things? So that can influence on an existing relationship if you didn't forge a very good foundation in the start. You know, most cases we just get married without working on the foundation. And the foundation, I mean, do we know each other? You understand? Are we friends? Have we created a mapping of ourselves? For instance, what do you want? What do I want? What are your best moments? What are my worst moments? You get it? Do I admire you? Am I fond of you? How do we resolve conflicts? You get it? And do we have a system that we've created that has shared values, where we have shared meaning? You get it? And we are intact before anything else comes in.
With the two of us.
With the two of us, because you see in a marriage there are different systems. There's the system of me and my husband, the system of us, you know. There's a system of both of us as parents. Then there's a downer system of the children and how they are relating. So if we've not formed a very solid foundation between the two of us, then we are going to get challenges, you know. You could find it would come into quarter life. It would come into the midlife crisis between 40 to 60. Where
that one is the only one we know when everyone goes through.
But there's also the quarter life.
So quarter life, you said it's 25 to 40?
To 30. When you're trying to adjust to adulthood, to motherhood, to marriage, to career. Sometimes people don't like the careers. I started to be a medical person, but I don't like medicine. I want to be in business. I became a lawyer, but actually I want to be an engineer. And there's a crisis and there's a marriage. So you're like...
When you say crisis, what do you mean?
A crisis is you're trying to resolve something on the inside. You understand? For instance, if it is a crisis, it means there's an issue to resolve. There's an issue to resolve.
So when you talk about those, okay, you say there's the quarter life, that's 25 to 30.
Yeah.
Then there's
the midlife. The midlife comes in earlier for women. At 40 to 55, because of so much happening to us. Our bodies are changing, the hormones are changing. One thing I didn't mention about mental health, we've only known it for the head.
Yeah,
it's
mental health is in the head.
It is more than the head.
How?
It is our hormones. You notice women, when we're going through the menstrual cycle, the moments when
we are harsher than
normal because of the hormones. It is your environment. The environment you're living in can affect you, trigger you. It can be
using very many big words, and I want us to break them down. Okay.
Environment.
So, trigger, and I want us to talk about trigger later.
Yeah.
But so environment can
affect your mental health. Nutrition. What are you feeding on?
Okay.
Your food could be predisposing it, could be unhealthy or not sufficient enough in certain nutrients, causing a mental health issue.
So what should we feed on that speaks to
For
mental
instance,
well-being?
all foods. For instance, if you need a lot of vitamins, you need a lot of micronutrients. For instance, there's what we call the brain is connected to our gut. Because even in Buganda, when you lose somebody, they tell you to tie the stomach. Because
That is
when
why.
when you're going through a lot of distress, your stomach will speak. When you're scared, you feel it in the stomach. When you're excited, you feel it in the stomach. You understand?
Okay.
That
That's
brain
because
gut.
the brain is connected.
The brain gut axis. We call it brain gut axis. So how we feed will affect that axis. And then there are certain mood changing hormones that are found in the stomach. We have what we call serotonin. It's all about feeling happy, feeling good, and majority of that is in the stomach.
So how do I trigger it when it's in the stomach?
So if you're not eating foods that are rich in that, you'll be deficient.
So which foods are rich in
So for
that?
instance, in serotonin, it is we call them happy hormones or happy foods like watermelon. Try eating a melon and you see how you will feel. Or sometimes you can eat food and you feel it in the tummy. You feel your mood immediately changes. Bananas, watermelon, they're all rich in that serotonin.
So you eat the food and automatically
it will
get
have an
happy.
effect on your mood because it is going to trigger that substance that is responsible for that. So it is our nutrition. If you have an iron deficiency, is blood going to be moving well? You'll be having less energy. And remember, mental health is also our energy. That's why current research is showing that exercise is also a treatment for depression because you bring in energy into the cells. It is our communities. What is in the community? Like in our settings in Africa, we have Ubuntu. We live in groups. You understand? As opposed to abroad, the Western world, where people are lonely, and that's why loneliness is becoming a pandemic in the world. Here we can live in groups, and our mental health.
And that speaks to the mental health.
Exactly. Remember the other thing that I told you? The World Health Organization says impact in community. Impact in community. So our communities speak a lot.
Wow. I don't know, it's too much information and yet I feel it's important. So apart from the serotonin, I want to learn words.
Yeah,
apart from
serotonin
that,
and many other things, that nutrition does.
You hinted about
Oxytocin in breastfeeding, yeah. So that's why I was telling about when babies are born, there's that body-to-body contact, there's the breastfeeding, because the breast milk also contains oxytocin. Oxytocin is also the love hormone. So sometimes you could find that your spouse cannot be affectionate in any manner
because they didn't breastfeed.
They didn't breastfeed and they don't have some of these nutrients that are needed.
So like they actually don't know how to be affectionate.
They can't be affectionate because nobody. Imagine if a baby has been born and they are dumped on the street. Those first moments, there's no attachment.
But now you're giving people reasons as to why they're distant.
So
like they have
whoever feels distant, go back to your childhood. Go back to your childhood. Go back to your relationship with your parents. And at different, again, the crises, there are ages where between 3 to 5, you find the girl is attached to the father, the boy is attached to the mother, because it's a psychological thing. It's in our development. So imagine if a boy needed a mother at that time and there was no mother. They would find it difficult to relate with women. Same as ladies that didn't have a father figure. So that's why in the Bible, the raising of children is father and mother, because everybody has a role to hold.
Interesting, and I hope our viewers are learning something. I'm really learning a lot from this. But Jennifer, the marriages which start off well, and then after, does the mental health come in later? What happens there?
The complexes of who we are, the changes in the lifespan, like across the lifespan, there will be crises that people are resolving. For instance, you could find that your spouse is going through quarter life, another one is going, you started well, and now it hits in the midlife crisis. They look at themselves and they're like, I've not generated, or I have not met the expectations. People expected me to be this, and I have not turned out to be that. And their feelings, the esteem is low. Their feelings of, worthlessness, their feelings, they blame themselves, their feelings of guilt. You get it. And such a person would have started well, but because of what they are going through right now, they are not able to connect or link to their spouse because of their psychological state in that period of time. It could be retirement. Somebody had an identity issue, and work became the identity. That
So
people
even
like that.
work becomes an issue.
Yeah, because somebody didn't resolve maybe their identity crisis, and
There's even an identity crisis.
there's an identity crisis. Yes, so if you don't resolve all of those things, they come out in a different way. So the identity crisis happens in our adolescence, and when we don't resolve it, people in most cases will try to get an identity of some sort. Some of us, our career has become our identity.
Yeah.
Now imagine, all my life my identity has been CEO or lawyer, so and so. Now I've retired. I can get into a
Nothing.
depression at that point of time because I have lost.
But then, Jennifer, you find that people, the kind of person you're talking about who identity is work, and you'd think when they get married, there's something that the marriage should be able to fulfill. I don't know if like, yes, your identity could have been work, but
Yeah.
now we are married.
Yeah.
I should be able to feel a particular space that the work has been filled.
Yeah, but if I had an attachment issue that wasn't resolved, and you're coming to me as a damaged, maybe somebody with an avoidant style of attachment, and work was my compensation. So no matter what you do,
How
I
am
cannot
going
connect
to
to you.
fulfill-
It
how
becomes
am I
hard
going
for
to
me.
connect
It
with
becomes
people?
hard for you, and that is why we need the marital therapy. We need to identify ourselves and work towards the goals that we have for the marriage. Why are we married? What should we do to enrich our marriage? And that is a question we need to be asking ourselves from time to time.
Why are we married?
Why are we married? That one.
Okay.
Why are we married, and how do we enrich,
How do we enrich our marriage?
our marriage? How do we gain that shared purpose in life? How do we gain that shared meaning?
Our viewers, please ask your spouse, why are you married?
Why are we in this marriage?
Why are we in this marriage?
Yeah.
for
So that takes
starters?
us to the reasons of marriage. There can be positive reasons of marriage and negative reasons of marriage.
Why would there be negative reasons of marriage?
If you're married for fame, if you're married for money, you understand. If you're married with an agenda,
Or just to be married?
or just to be married, there will be a challenge. So you ask yourself, why are you married? If it is companionship, yes.
So why are you married, our viewers? Why are you married, and how do you enrich your marriage?
Yes.
That's the homework.
How
for
do we
today, by the way.
correct that? How do we correct that? Because we are all a work in progress. No marriage is there, but we keep working on ourselves.
Wow. Interesting.
Otherwise, the tide can push you and push you and push you as you go through the crises, as your trauma arises, as where challenges with attachment come in, it pushes you further and further.
Okay. So you talk about triggers. What are triggers? You've said that word a lot.
Triggers.
What are triggers?
A trigger, let's put it in simple terms, something that activates. For instance, I could have anger inside me and nobody knows that I'm actually an angry person. And then somebody, maybe maybe I was bullied in school. And because I was bullied in school, I harbored a lot of anger because of being bullied. Now, I get into a marriage and I perceive that my spouse is bullying me, or he says that word that was said then, it will activate that anger.
So I had anger growing
I
up.
have anger.
I have it didn't
inside
go
me.
away.
It is. We all have those things inside us.
So when he says something, it just takes me back to that place.
Moment. Yeah, that is a trigger.
But then we are dealing with people, we don't even know what triggers them. How are we going to handle marriages?
We need to learn each other. Marriage is like a school. Marriage is like a school. The more information you learn and you apply, the more it gets better. But the first place to start is with yourself. Learn yourself. See what you're bringing in this marriage. How are you triggering your spouse? What is it that you say and will trigger this person?
How do I know that?
When was the last time you quarreled with your spouse? What was it about? What did you say? Or when was the last time there was unrest in that marriage? What caused it?
So once I understand what caused
Exactly.
I try to avoid it.
Not avoid, resolve. Avoiding is a negative word.
So
we resolve it, yeah.
So what? I want us to
avoiding would
example. I'm trying to
avoiding would be making you to walk on
yes, that I'm
on
not going to talk
eggshells,
about your mother.
and that is going to harbor certain emotions inside you. You understand? And you can actually start to resent that person. Or unconsciously, it can come out one day when you...
Give us an example. I don't know if
Okay,
it is me who's
let me
not
give
understanding it or
let
the
me give
audience.
an
Audience.
example. For instance, your spouse comes from a poor background, and that was a dark label on them growing up. You understand? And then you begin to say, you poor people, where you came from. You understand? Somebody can give you a hot slap because you're insulting, you're taking them back to
a place where they come.
You understand? You trigger.
So I try. Okay, you said I don't use avoid. So you try to resolve.
Or gain compassion over that. You know, where there's compassion, there's no judgment, there's no blaming, there's no accusing, there's no shaming. You understand? Everything is seen in a lens of compassion.
But Jennifer,
so you don't bring it in a way that ashames somebody.
From what you're saying, we are fighting battles we don't even know
Exactly,
about.
and that is why we need therapy. We need to reinforce marriage classes to teach about these things, teach about how does my childhood affect my marriage, there's so many topics. How does my adolescence affect my marriage? Which stage am I and how is it affecting? You get it. So the knowledge and the growth and the learning is continuous.
Because I'm imagining if I'm a yellow and he's an orange. And we are together.
And remember, the thing about marriage is that in most cases it's a trauma bond. Most marriages are trauma bonds.
Trauma bond.
Yeah, you attract what you are.
But
The
it's
trauma
opposites attract,
the trauma inside you will attract
The trauma in him.
in another person.
Now too traumatized.
Yeah. So when you look at most
God
people,
help us.
there's something that connected them. So if there's a trauma bond, you see what happens.
Have
So
you
the more we
finished?
learn, the more we learn in a lens of compassion. And I'm bringing the word compassion because we can begin to point fingers.
Yes.
You, her, you, the other. The more we are able to resolve and understand each other and learn how to support each other and grow and heal together, because we all need healing.
But it all starts by knowing what you're sick of. Because you can't heal from what you actually need
Yeah.
to know. So, and I think I will ask and again, what can we do?
Increase awareness.
Now, me and my husband, us
Yeah.
as a couple.
Yeah.
One, how do we identify any traumas? Because sometimes we're traumatized and we actually do not know.
Yeah.
How do we identify the traumas that we have as individuals and their effect on the marriage that we live?
Yes, so the best place to start is to look at your marriage presently. What is happening in you do what we call like an inventory. What are the areas of struggle in our marriage? Is it communication? Is it finances? Is it sexuality? Is it communication? Is it affection? You understand? That is a good place to start. So from there, you look at your childhood. If it is affection, how affectionate were your parents?
So we actually have that conversation.
Yeah, you have that conversation. Yeah.
You ask Mr. Mboa, how affectionate
Yeah, how
were your
affectionate your parents. Yeah, if we are struggling with affection, how affectionate were my parents? So if it is an area, then we seek out help or we work around getting more. We learn to be affectionate. You understand? Is it the parenting? How were you parented? Because you parent the way you were parented. You get it? How did my parenting affect how I parent today?
I actually think there's a lot of work to do before we get married.
There is a lot
Because
of work.
for us, we're already there. We may not change.
Yeah, but there's
I
a
wish
lot of
this
work.
would
Yeah,
be talked about
exactly.
before.
Yeah. And that is the revamping, my personal opinion, that I think needs to be done, especially premarital counseling. It needs to be solid. We need to add in certain elements and then provide classes for beginners as people are trying to gain a system in their marriage, create meaning and what. There's a bit of assistance that is needed. Because the world is changing. No longer is the traditional way of doing things efficient. When our grandparents got married, they never had phones. Now we have phones, technology, and what? You find both couples are not communicating. The conversation is the phone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting conversation. For my viewers out there who have been lost, because even me at some point I've actually got lost, what would the one thing
That
you
is
want
scary
them to
from me.
No, you explained and
Okay.
actually got back on track. But for us who one, don't think mental health is an issue. We think we are black people, we have to soldier through things.
As long as you're human with a mind, that's all. You have mental health.
And we need to have
And mental health
well-being.
can be healthy or unwell.
And we need to strive to be
Healthy.
So what do you tell my viewers out there as we
Um,
conclude?
Yeah, viewers, thank you for listening. What is most important is to seek knowledge and to learn more about ourselves and how we are relating with the world around us. Because you could be pointing fingers at everything around you except you. So start with yourself. Start with yourself. See how you can make a difference in your life, and then it will have a ripple effect on everybody around you.
Thank you very much, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that wealth of information, and I hope we can come back and even go deeper, because
Yeah.
I feel we have just touched the surface. But for our viewers, it's something as simple as breastfeeding a child. if we were told that, if we're not just told to go breastfeed, and we're told that when you breastfeed a child, you're creating affection for even the people you will relate with or she will relate with, maybe we would have done it actually better. Yes, so get the knowledge, as she said, get the knowledge, get information. Let us be compassionate, but also look at yourself as an individual. What are the things that happen to you, and how are they informing where you are right now? But also, in which box are you? Are you in green? Are you in yellow? Are you in orange? Or are you in red? And let us seek help. Let us not be strong and believe we are strong.
We are strong. It's
As-
good to be vulnerable. Yeah, the
Yes.
vulnerability and that self-check is very, very important.
And as she has said, it's okay to seek help. Doesn't make you weak. It is okay, and with help we'll become better people. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Fiona Mbowa here at Church of Uganda Family TV with Ring Diaries.